Last night, something occurred that really inspired me to make this video. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably already know what that is, but if not, we're gonna talk about it in just a couple of minutes anyways. Over a year ago, I made a video similar to this where we talked about some young players who could really use a fresh start with a new team. In that video, we talked about Jesse Puljujarvi, Josh Ho-Sang, Joel Eriksson-Ek, Pavel Zacha, and Sonny Milano. So far, the only player from that video that was actually given a new opportunity is Sonny Milano, and in the 9 games he played with the Ducks this season, he actually looked pretty good and recently signed a new contract with them. Think of this video as a part 2 to that one, because today I have 6 more young NHL players ages 25 and under that I think would really benefit from a trade and a new opportunity with a different team. I say this all the time, but sometimes that's really all it takes for a young player to finally break out. 2 prime examples from this season is Robby Fabbri after he was dealt to the Red Wings, and Kevin Fiala in his first full season with the Minnesota Wild. You guys get the point. Now let's begin with Jake Virtanen, who is the reason why I am actually making this video. If you didn't know, last night in their exhibition matchup against the Winnipeg Jets, the Vancouver Canucks did not dress Jake Virtanen, and it wasn't for precautionary reasons either. When Canucks head coach Travis Green was asked on why he didn't dress Virtanen, he said, "I just went with the lineup that I thought gave us the best chance to win." And me personally, I'm not buying this. I think it's BS, and I really feel like there has to be some tension between Jake Virtanen and Canucks management, because if the Canucks are trying to ice the best possible lineup, there's just no way Jake Virtanen would not be in there. This is a guy that would have scored 20 goals this season had we actually played a full season, and is one of the most physical forwards on the Vancouver Canucks. And I don't know about you guys, but last night I feel like they could have used some of that physicality against the Winnipeg Jets, albeit it was just an exhibition game. Virtanen is a good player, but over the past couple of months he definitely hasn't been popular amongst Canucks fans. You had the whole incident of him filming himself while driving, everyone was up in arms about that, and then not too long ago he was seen at a nightclub without a mask during the pandemic, and man, people just tore him apart for that. I'm not saying there isn't maturity issues there with Virtanen. What I am saying is I feel like a lot of the criticism he gets is very unwarranted. Last night I seen a lot of people on Canucks Twitter defending Travis Green's comments, basically saying Jake Virtanen sucks, and if they're trying to win games he shouldn't be in the lineup, which I personally think is just completely wrong and doesn't make any sense. Maybe I'm wrong. If some level-headed Canucks fans could let me know down in the comment section if I'm missing something, that would be greatly appreciated, but at this point I would love nothing more than to see Jake Virtanen thriving with a team other than the Vancouver Canucks. I'm interested to see if he draws back into the lineup in Game 1 against the Wild, but overall this is just a pretty weird situation. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts. He is set to become an RFA this summer, and in all honesty I would not be surprised if this season was his last in Vancouver. The next player I want to talk about is Mark Jankowski of the Calgary Flames, who was their 21st overall pick back in the 2012 NHL draft. And he took a long time to go pro. He didn't play his first NHL game until the 2016-17 season, but he had a really good collegiate career for Providence and looked like he was going to be a very good player for the Calgary Flames one day. And things started out pretty well for Mark Jankowski in Calgary. As a rookie in the 2017-18 season, he had 17 goals in 72 games. Would then follow that up by increasing his point total by 7 in the 2018-19 season. It looked like he was on the right path, and Flames fans were hoping he would only continue to get better heading into the 2019-20 season, but to say this year was a major setback for him would be an understatement. Jankowski finished the regular season playing in 56 games and putting up a whopping total of 7 points, and if he's not providing the Flames with much offense, then what is he really providing them with? He doesn't have much physicality to his game whatsoever, having just 14 hits in the 56 games that he played and finishing below 45% from the faceoff circle. I just don't really know where he fits in Calgary. It would be pretty difficult for him to get a consistent role in the top 9, especially after the emergence of guys like Dylan Dubé and Andrew Mangiapane. I'm sure there are some teams out there that would be willing to take him on for cheap. He's only 25 and has shown flashes of being a decent goal scorer. We'll see what happens. I just don't really ever see him amounting to much in Calgary, and I think him being traded to a team where he would get a bigger role and a better opportunity would be really beneficial for his career. Moving on now, we have Julius Honka, who the Dallas Stars selected with the 14th overall pick back in the 2014 NHL draft. And he has a similar case to Jesse Puljujarvi, who we talked about in the video I made a year ago, where he demanded a trade. That request was not granted, granted, and then he went to play the 2019-20 season in the Liga over in Finland. He had a decent season over there, but it wasn't really anything that would get other GMs around the league excited or garner any more interest in him, because when you look at his NHL numbers, he's only played 87 games. That's not a lot of experience for a defenseman who was drafted 6 years ago. Overall, his professional career has been pretty disappointing so far, aside from at the American Hockey League level, however, as he's had some great seasons for the Texas Stars. And even those seem like a long time ago, as his last full season in the American Hockey League for Texas was in 2016-17. If we don't see Julius Honka crack an NHL lineup next season, whether that's in Dallas or whether that's with any of the other 30 teams around the league, then at that point I honestly would not be surprised at all if he doesn't really have much of an NHL career at all. But let's hope that doesn't happen. He is only 24 and does have a lot of skill. I mean, he was drafted 14th overall for a reason. It would be nice to see him get a fresh start with a new team. Rasmus Ristolainen. To me, it is pretty crazy that Buffalo actually hasn't moved on from him just yet. It seems like every other month his name is brought back up in trade talks. Earlier in the season, it was rumored that apparently Ristolainen requested a trade out of Buffalo, but as we all know, nothing really ever came of that. He is definitely an interesting player. Ever since being taken 8th overall back in 2013 by the Sabres, he has put up really good point totals so far throughout his NHL career with 227 in 493 games, but he really hasn't ever been anything more than just a pure offensive defenseman. The defensive side of his game, if I'm being honest, it's not very good at all. And if you want Ristolainen to be like a top pairing guy, which it seems like Buffalo does, I feel like you have to have that perfect D partner to play alongside him, a veteran guy who's very steady in his own end, very defensively sound. Buffalo just really doesn't have that type of player to pair alongside Ristolainen, and when you consider how things have went for the team in general over the past couple of seasons, I mean, it's time to make a change. It is time to shake up that roster. To me anyways, I think it would be really beneficial for not only Ristolainen, but for the Sabres as well if they just parted ways. It hasn't really worked out, and if I had to guess, I'd say he does still have some decent trade value, especially for teams out there looking for an offensive defenseman. Continuing on, we have Michael Del Cole of the New York Islanders. I'm really close to just calling him a bust, and I know a lot of other people are already at that point. The 5th overall pick by the Islanders in the 2014 NHL draft has a total of 17 points in 85 career NHL games. This season was really the first good sample size we've gotten of Michael Del Cole at the NHL level, playing in 53 games for the Islanders and scoring 4 goals and putting up 10 total points. Definitely really underwhelming, especially considering there were some people that actually had expectations for him heading into the season, because last year he played really well in the American Hockey League. He was a point a game through 34 games for Bridgeport, and after being called up, he actually didn't look too bad in the games he played for the Islanders last season. I would say he looked better in those NHL games than the NHL games he played in this season. At this point, I just don't really know what the future holds for him. He is under contract through next season with the Islanders, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is the last opportunity they're going to give him. What I'm kind of hoping for is not necessarily a trade for a change of scenery, but kind of what we saw happen with Valeri Nichushkin, where the Avalanche gave him a 1-year deal. It was really cheap, a low-risk move, and Nichushkin kind of reinvented his game and became an extremely useful player for them. Any Islanders fans watching this video, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think Michael Del Cole still has a shot to become a solid NHL player? Because at this point, it's really not looking too good. And now for the final player of the video, Alexander Wenberg of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I've seen his name thrown around a lot recently as somebody that the Seattle Kraken could potentially pick up in the expansion draft, and honestly, I'm all for that. So far, Wenberg has had a pretty up and down NHL career. It started off really well, 40 points as a sophomore in 2015-16, and then had a career high 59 points in 2016-17, but since then, over the past couple of seasons, we've really seen his offensive production kind of drop off a cliff, which is definitely unfortunate as it happened pretty much immediately after he signed a 6-year, $29.4 million contract extension that carries an annual average of $4.9 million. Right now, that contract looks pretty bad, considering he's put up a total of 47 points over the past 2 seasons combined. But if Wenberg can get back to being that great playmaker that we saw from 2016 to 2018, then you probably won't see too many people complaining about his contract, and me personally, I'd love to see him be a top 2 centerman for Seattle. I mean, we saw what that change of scenery did for William Karlsson. I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen for Wenberg, but a little bit more opportunity I think would be really beneficial for him. That is going to do it for kind of the second episode of some young NHL players I think would really benefit from a change of scenery. Maybe we can look back at this video in a year from now and see if any of these players actually got that change, but make sure to let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts on all the guys we talked about today. And as always, if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to drop a like on it. That is the best way to show your support. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in the next video.